I'm that awkward person that believes that Power BI is in the Power Platform family, and it's also in the M365 family, and is also in the Data Platform family. Okay, so oh, that slide is out of oh, I don't work for them anymore. I don't work for them anymore. Okay, so I blog. Don't take a photo. I blog and on a connected to phone. Oh, connected to somebody's phone. Congratulations. I promise I will be nice to any calls I answer. So I have a blog, hat full of blog. I'm sorry, hat full of data, and a YouTube channel of the same name. I will be honest here, okay? Although I'm very lucky, I have a whole bunch of subscribers and it's all very lovely, etc., etc. The reason I blog is because I've worked out how to solve something and I don't want to have to remember where I wrote it down. Okay, that's why I blog. And there'll be some blog posts on there you'll look at and go, this doesn't fit with what Laura normally does. What's this? I solved something and I needed to write it down somewhere, so I wrote a blog post. Employment-wise, I stupidly went and joined some large partners. It was a great idea for some people. It's not for me. And now I'm being a freelancer again. I did 20 years of being a freelancer. Then I went and joined a couple of consultancies and then went, nah, I'm not doing this. I have the problem my brain never turns off. I have a conversation going on in my brain the whole time, even now. Okay, my brain never turns off and it's a pain in the neck. The only way I get my brain to turn off from work, when I made the joke earlier in Sue's session of you get a problem at 11 o'clock, or was it before your session? It was before your session. When I get a problem at 11 o'clock at night, well, hey, there goes sleep tonight. And everybody thinks I'm joking. I'm not. My neurodiversity is my brain doesn't shut up. So the only way I do it is if I play games. I play strategy board games, and this is one of my favorites. It's called photosynthesis. It's got cute little trees. You grow them, and it's all very cute. And the strategy is really funny to watch because most people get it wrong and lose. It's great. I've played it enough that I have a chance of winning. So I'm not very good at slides. No more slides. Let's move on to demo. See? Yeah. Let me just quickly talk about Power Automate. So in the room, who here plays with Power Automate? Good. Awesome people. Okay. So Power BI and the data world, it's pretty good at doing data transformations. It's pretty good at mashing data into shape. The ETLs, the tools there are, complicated Python and Power Query. I'm a person that writes them. I am that weird person. Chris Webb's worse, but I try. Power Automate shouldn't. Power Automate really, really shouldn't. And so I spend a lot of time in the Power Platform world telling people, no, will you stop doing data transformation inside that Power Automate? Let Power BI do it. It's really quite good at it. And I'll show you how to get that data into Power Automate and work from there. Pipelines are awesome at orchestrating things inside Fabric and inside the Azure world. They are the orchestration tool. They're the orchestration tool that's normally kind of scheduled. Power Automate can come along and it can help and it can make this. So I'm not saying Power Automate should replace anything. I'm saying it can enhance. I'm very careful of saying that. One of my versions of this session is to do Power BI and Power Automate doing what they do best. I make the right tool for the right job. So here I am inside here I am inside inside Power BI, inside Fabric. Okay. And we've got a number of things in here. This is a workspace from me being at a conference this week called DINUG. It was all in Norwegian, apart from my session, which was in English. It was scary. all these people that could say things. They could all, there's these little conversations going on in my session, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. Anyway, so it's a really simple part in here. I've got a lake house. I've got a couple of things that put files and data into that lake house. Most of the things in there take files, muck about with them. So I teach a very simple notebook. I put a very simple Gen 2 data flows, and I shove data around. Okay. So how can Power Automate help in here? Well, let's go for a real simple concept. A new file arrives somewhere that Power Automate can see, and I would like it to go into OneLake. Microsoft make both of those, okay? They make SharePoint and they make OneLake. Do they talk to each other? No, I hope in hell. So have they made a Power Automate connector to Fabric yet? No. No. Did I harass certain people inside Microsoft? Well, yeah. And they keep going, oh, we're working on it. We're working on it. We promise. And I went, okay, fine, thinking Ignite. No, we're still doing the same demo. So what I want to do is I've got a SharePoint library here. It's got a file in it. I want it, if somebody puts a new file in there, that file will automatically get put into OneLake and other things happen. Yeah. So this is a demo I did at in Stockholm at Fabcom. Okay, I did a very similar session to this there. So, oh, this is a weird mouse. Let's go for Power Automate. So we're going to go for a brand new flow, and we are going to go for an automated flow. Okay, so for those of you that are new to Power Automate, what you pick as your flow type is the kind of trigger what's going to make it happen. Okay, so we are going to go for, it's not an item that's created, it's a file that is created. When a file is created, and there's a new designer, which is interesting. There are a lot of people that hate it. There are a lot of people that like it. We're going to go with it until it breaks and it doesn't play ball, and then we're going to give in and go back to the old designer. Okay, I give it about 10 minutes. So site address. Is it going to find my site address? Of course, it's not going to. Oh, maybe it is. Do you know, I'm going to give it less than 10 minutes in a second. Okay, fine. So I'm going to come up to here. We're going to go for my site address, and please note it was site address. It was not the library address. Custom value, chuck it in. Wow. Okay, I give up. We're going to the end. I might have to add the trigger again. Let's see if it works out. No, Microsoft, you don't get feedback. Not now. So I tried. Please, everybody note that I did actually try. No way. See, look here. It's nice. It gives me the things that are here, and there you are. I can pick the right site address. I can pick the right library. Blank for the whole library. So when a file is created, okay. The first thing we want to do when we get that file, okay, is we want to go and get the file contents, because all this does is give me the file properties, okay? So we're going to do a file contents. File contents. I think that's a better one to do it with. Site address again. Like, come on, play ball. Now, has a thing called dynamic content, which basically is based off the previous steps, and that should give you the identifier. Okay. So now we've got the file content. Okay. Then the next part, if there was a nice fabric connector, we'd then go, right, the fabric connector, and that's what I would do in any other thing that's got a proper connector, but there isn't. Okay. So now we're going to have to make use of REST APIs. So we're going to go for a new step, and it's going to be HTTP. Now, normally on these kind of things, I've written a blog post that tells you how to do this. I haven't written a blog post that tells you how to do this. I've written a few notes in GitHub, which has the promise at the top that I will write a blog post. This man will harass me, I hope, or Sue will, somebody will, to write a blog post. I'm not. I'll harass you, and you harass me. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good plan to me. So here we are. Here's my few notes that tells you how to go that tells you how to go and do it. Okay, so trigger for new file content, and then we need to go and get some stuff from Power BI. So I'm going to go and get the HTTP, and we're going to go with. Oh, this might be interesting. Really good question. Okay, and I am lots of blog posts. My challenge I'm going to do here is we might end up changing tenancy at this rate because I have to remember which one we're going to use. So so HTTP requests. Okay, the challenge of a HTTP request is working out how you're going to authorize. Because obviously you can't just do a random HTTP call with no authorization. But wait a minute, I'm logged in Flow as me. Well, actually, no, I'm logged in as mod something or other in this tenancy. I'm logged in as me. So therefore, and I log into Fabric as the same me. So surely I can do the same thing. Yes, you can. Okay, if you can get it right. And this is the part which I have to confess I had completely forgotten about getting the parts in here right. So we're going to have to bear with me. And this doesn't work, we're going to switch tenancies to a place I know I have done it. So it's going to ask me for the base HTTP record. Oh, sugar. My apologies, guys. I'm going to go and cheat. I'm just going to go and nick. Do you see? I've been to Oslo, and Bing hasn't worked out, but I've come back. Can it just please work this out? Oh, look, my child is playing a game. So my children are adults; they're allowed to play games at this time of night. Let me just quickly go and find the right blog post. Oh, blogged it. There you go, Sue. I've written my blog post. So I have written it. There we go. Let me just quickly get the. So when it's asking for the first two parts of, you have to into there. I now remember that I got stuck on this last time, so I wrote the blog post. You have to put in, when you do your first connection and you first setting it up, you have to put in the base resource URL and the I can get the base USR result. Asking me for a diff. There we go. We're going to copy that one. I will send out the link to this. Okay, guys. We're going to put that one into there. And we're going to copy that one. And we're going to put that one into there. There is an important part about it, how the parts of the URLs in here, there are some different things you try and do that you have to get the URLs right in there. So you end up with 3 or 4 different connections, okay? There are a number of parts in there we have to get right. And it's asking us to log in. I turned MFA off, okay? So the method that we're going to use on a HTTP one is we're going to put in a put. But we've got to have a URL, okay, that we want to put in there. And how we get that URL and how we refer to things is we're going to go and find our lakehouse, okay? And we're going to come into our lakehouse here. And I've got my folder here that I want it to go into. And I'm going to do a click 3 dots there, and I'm going to go to properties. Okay, and you see you've got a URL here. It gives it to you, and it even gives you a nice little copy button. Let's copy that button. Let's copy that URL, and let's go to our flow. So into here, we're going to do a before this to make life easy, because I'm going to use that URL a number of times. And I'm going to put in there a compose step. And a compose step is a really nice way of just taking some notes, keeping something you can use later. So what we're going to do into there is I am going to paste into there that URL. And that gives me up to sales, okay? If I just zoom in a little bit, you can see it says up to sales. So then what I'm going to put in is a /. And then I want the name of the file that we're reacting to, because we want the file name to stay the same. So we can then put into there in the dynamic. I'm going to zoom back out again because I can't see the dynamic. File name with extension. That's a good idea, because hey, extensions are important, right? So that's given me the whole path of my file. I can then come into my part into here, and we're going to go for a put. The URL of the request is going to be what's in my compose, the output of my compose. And what we're going to put on the end of that, if you look in my notes, okay, is a question mark resource equals file. And it'll let you don't have to put concat and things in there. And that's it, okay? And what that does is that creates an empty file, because we haven't put the file content in there yet. But you have to do this in a 2-stage process. So we do that one first. And then we're going to do another step. And we're going to do a HTTP again. Pre-authorized one. And this time, okay, let's go and have a quick look. See, I put pretty pictures in. And then we're going to do a patch, okay? So we're going to do a patch. And on here, it says, what we're going to do is we're going to append our data. The position we're going to start at is 0, and the flush equals true, which basically means complete the file. Okay, you wouldn't do a flush unless if you wanted to add multiple files and things like that. No, I haven't tried that. Best of luck if you try it. But you wouldn't put the flush equals true on the end. And then at the bottom here, you see the body of the request is where we're going to put that part in there. So let's go back into here. So it's a patch. This again is our compose. And we're going to put into there that ending. And then into the body of here, we're going to go for file content. Okay. And we are going to click save. Slightly interested that I've got a flow checker with the red, but we'll think about that in a second. Oh, sign up for a 90-day trial. We'll do that, shall we? Start trial. Sounds great. Oh, I'll explain why that's happened in a second. Wasn't expecting that to happen. That's because I did it in the wrong environment. Okay, so we've got no warnings. Let's save again. I'll talk about somebody remind me about licensing in a minute. Me'll cry, now go home. Ooh. We said it had, so wait a minute, I am just gonna go back. Turn the flow back on again. That makes me feel slightly better. We'll get out a new designer though, because hey, we tried that. Okay, so that is all on. My flow checker doesn't have any errors. So let's come to here and let's go for uploading a file. So flows aren't instantaneous. We're going to keep fingers crossed and hope that works. Flows aren't instantaneous. They can take a couple of minutes to trigger. Okay, so that's something to be aware of. That now, let me explain the issue of what happened in there regarding licensing. So I don't like it that I just clicked it with a few tricks. The way I was going to run this, and I should have done this, was to not be in. If you looked in flow up here, it says I'm in the default environment. In the default environment, I have to have licenses. If I go to a developer environment, which unless your company's turned them off, you can create quite easily. I can point you in directions where to go with that. You don't have to have licenses because they're not meant for production. You can it gives you licenses in there so that you can do all the tricks, and that's what I was expecting to use. So my apologies, I put it in the wrong place. So we're going to see if it's actually started. So there we are. Even though it's telling me that the API is not defined. That is a whole different error. That's nothing to do with me. So there we are. I can see, and it says it succeeded. Okay, and if you go and click on that run, you'll see a whole bunch of boxes in there that says it's happened. So let's go and have a look in our lakehouse. And let's just do a refresh of that. And there we are. Our file has gone from, it worked. Okay, guys, you have no idea how much I was thinking that wasn't going to work. You tried doing that with Microsoft in the room. Been there, done that. Don't do that again. So that's all very lovely. Okay. But it's just one little thing. But I've implemented that for one client and it solved the problem for them. I've not tried to replace their pipelines. Okay. So I'm going to try and do, when I meant to finish. I've got a quarter of an hour. Okay, fine. So it's using a very similar trick. So I'm going to just talk about the next one and then I'm going to jump to my third demo because that took longer than I expected. My apologies. So, and it's 45 minutes. It's fast. So that trick works. Okay. I've also, my second demo was meant to be that I can trigger a pipeline. By a very similar part, as long as you've got the pipeline details, you can trigger a pipeline to run. So you can build your Fabric pipeline that has all the lovely complexities of a Fabric pipeline, or whatever other pipeline, but Fabric is the ones that I've been playing with, okay, and has all the things in there that you want it to do, etc., etc., etc. But it could react off something that isn't scheduled, okay? So when we're talking about things like Sue's data, I'll talk to Sue's data because I normally do my exercise data, and I haven't been on my exercise bike for a good 3 months, so I can't use that. But if we're talking about data that's not regular, I can't guarantee it'll be there at 9 a.m. in the morning. So I want to react off it arriving. I want to react off somebody pressing a button in an app. I want to react off those kind of things to happen. That's where Power Automate steps in and can be that trigger. So there is another way, and I will promise if there's not a blog post already, that there will be a blog post for how to trigger off a pipeline. So that's that end. So you do all the Fabric stuff, you do all the things, and you've built your beautiful semantic model, and it's all very lovely. Now you want to do something else with it. Now I want to be able to take that data out of Power BI and to be able to react off it, to be able to quickly go through on a Friday, quickly go down the numbers and send Teams messages to the right people who haven't done the right things. Okay. I could try and pull all data into Power Automate, try and do things with data, please don't, and work from there. Okay. But instead, if we go back into Power BI, and at this end, I've built a semantic model. Okay, it's a very simple semantic model, but I've built a semantic model. I've added a few measures. I've done a few things. Okay, and I want to be able to use that data somewhere else. So if I go for writing DAX queries, you don't even have to have Power BI Desktop now. Now they've added this online. You can write scary DAX online. Am I going to write scary DAX live? Not a chance. So I've written a very simple, really simple little bit of DAX. Summarize columns. Okay, summarized by product category, the product, what's the sales value, what's the sales volume, and look, it does me a pretty report. Okay, the interesting part in there is if I had, as part of my flow, I could have also triggered off a refresh, and then this would have been different data again. Okay, so there's all sorts of things I could have done there, or my pipeline could have done it for me as well. So this is really useful stuff for somebody running Power Automate, because maybe they want to put that data somewhere else. Maybe they want to loop through that data and do things with it. Okay. So my very short demo, I promise I am going to finish on time because I realize I'm between you and pizza. So what we're going to do next is just show you that you could get that data into Power Automate. Let's hopefully I'll do this right this time. This one doesn't need a premium license. The last one did because of the HTTP requests. But this one, I'm going to make it an instant flow, but it could be scheduled. It could be all sorts of things. And PPM. And manually trigger a flow. And go away, new designer. We tried you. We're not doing that again. They will get there. They will get there on it. We are going to have to cope with it. It does have some good parts, honest. So if I come into Power BI, and then I do a search in here for a query. Okay, there are two. We are going for the one that doesn't mention JSON. First time I've done it on this tenancy, so it just had to do a quick sign in, and it's then going to ask me for a workspace. It's going to ask me for a data set. And then it's going to ask me for the text of a query. I'm actually going to shove it in a compose step beforehand. In my experience, it's a better idea to do it in here. Now, my other part in here that I want to talk about is when you paste it as plain text, okay? Because especially if you're pulling it out of Power BI Desktop, because Power BI Desktop in its infinite wisdom sends the formatting with it. The wrong bit of information. Let's try that again, shall we? Back into here. Let's copy it. I forgot to do that bit, didn't I? Did I last present here? Will I be invited back for another 5 years? What do you think, guys? Right click, paste as plain text. Okay, so there it is. It's giving me the DAX into there, put it into there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to prove that works, and then then we'll do something with it. So we're going to go for a test, and we're going to go for a test in here. Now, just while that's running, it was plain text, which means I could have, if it was going to involve, if that DAX was going to involve a date, if that DAX was going to involve something, some other information in there, I could have embedded that in that text. I'm connected to a phone again. If you go and have a look in here, Power Automate right, weird mouse I can't cope with. Power Automate returns back data in a JSON format. Okay, so down here, I've got my data. Okay, and it's not very pretty. I will give you that. It's not very pretty at all. It's showing me the product's category, the product's product, and the values. The name columns aren't very nice. Yeah, but however pretty you do your reports, however pretty you make it, okay, convincing a salesperson, convincing all sorts of weird, wonderful people to actually go to Power BI and open the report, or even just click on the tab in Teams and look at the report. It's painful. They don't go there. So let's slap it in their face. Let's put it in an email. Let's put it in Teams for them. Let's deal with the things that we need to deal with, okay? Or let's loop through the data and do that part. So what we're going to do here, okay, is I'm just going to put it in Teams to them because I am very aware that I've only got 7 minutes. Pizza's running late. I'm now the person telling them the pizza's running late. Right, Rob? Okay. So this video I've done on YouTube, okay, using a very similar thing in here. We didn't have the DAX editor online in those days when I did it, but I've done this one and I've done 2 versions online. Okay, one of them is getting data out of Power BI dataset revisited, and the revisited one is the pretty one. The demo I'm going to do you now is the not so pretty one because it takes longer to do the pretty one. Okay, so if you need the pretty version, please go and have a look at the video. So let's come into here. So I have got coming out of that action, I have got a table. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert that JSON into a HTML table, maybe. Great HTML table. What we're going to do in here is we're going to go for, do you see you've got a whole bunch in here? And I'm going to go for first table raise. And then I'm going to come into here. I haven't fired up Teams on this account yet, so let's just go make sure that we can actually get into Teams. It's thinking about it. Wow. Pizza being late has obviously upset things. We are going to, so I'm going to just have a quick look at Teams, and I want to post a message in chat or channel. So you could have this, if people are paying more attention to a channel, you could post it into a channel. Okay, you can post as a flowbook, or you can post as a person, or the power of virtual agents, otherwise known as Copilot, isn't it? I don't know. We're going to go for a channel. Let's see if I can find a channel I can post it in. Teams have we got? I don't know. Team ID. Give me a team. Give me a team. Oh, look, there's lots of them. The joys of a Contoso website. Communications. General, that'll do, won't it? And then I can put in message into here. Sales. And then I can put in my create a HTML table. Okay. So I'm taking my data and I'm going to put it into there. In a minute, we're going to go and find that team. So let's go save. And let's go test. I am not suggesting Power Automate replaces anything. I'm suggesting Power Automate adds some extras. It can react. It can react to an email. That file could have not just been put in SharePoint, that file could have been emailed. That could have been somebody pressing a button in an app. Yes. It's a different logic layer. It's a logic layer that can talk to your M365. It can talk to a whole bunch of other things that are out there, that it's already got the connections in there. It can make your REST API calls easier. It can do those parts for you. It can react off those things. So you can have it off an email coming. If I get an email from this person, do this with it. So that file that we put in SharePoint could have been, that file gets emailed from an automated system, save it to OneLake. Okay. And yes, I could do that by hand, but yes, there are other ways of doing it. Without being a coder, you have to remember Power Automate is aimed at the low code. Okay. So you're a tech. You could probably write a routine that would do this in another language. It's not what Power Automate is trying to do. It's not trying to replace that. It's trying to give an alternative to that. So, oh, go away, So where did we put it? We put it in communications, didn't we? I was thinking about it. I really is thinking about it. Apologies, it's taking its time. There we are. Let's put your table in. Okay. Let me come back to the comment there. Okay. What's it offering? It is not replacing things that could have been written by a pro dev. Okay. Because it could have been written by a pro dev. There's a whole bunch of stuff that Power Automate does that could be written by a pro dev. But that's not what Power Automate is being aimed at. Although there are quite a lot of things that I've got pro devs using parts of Power Automate for, they're doing things a lot more complicated than I'm doing here, that demoing today. It's the business person who has a question. They want to be able to get it to do the thing. They want to be able to make use of the data transformations you've already done. They want to make use of the things that are already been built by the data teams. They want to add that extra layer. So I will tweak my head. I'd like to go back and tweak my head into this session. Is enhancing Power BI and Fabric by the business. Okay. My whole career has been empowering the business to get the right things out of it. Okay. And some of that is me teaching the business how to talk to developers. Developers in the room, if you're here, oh boy, are you hard to work to talk to sometimes. Business world don't understand you. And by the way, you don't understand the business world, and that's fine. But I now and again have to be the translator. But that's where Power Automate is stepping in. That's what Microsoft built Power Automate for, to step in between the two. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I'll just give it a work example. So in my work at an HR team, I trained to use reflex cells to manage skill matrices. So something.
Yep. 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 And the advantage of that SharePoint list is nobody can go and change the column name. Yeah. Yeah. We've all been there. We've all been there. But yes, that is a great example, and that's another one of the demos that I sometimes do in a similar session to this. Is new file appears in SharePoint, refresh the Power BI data set. Okay, because that can't happen. That's a scheduled thing. That file isn't going to be there at 9 a.m. every day, because there'll be a delay. There'll be somebody turns on British summertime or the American summertime or whatever. But there'll be all those issues. Yeah. Any other questions? Can a flow be recursive? Oh yeah. So if I go back into flows just for a second, if I come back into flows and come into the create here, my scheduled side, I can, please don't have it repeating every minute. But there you are. I've got a second all the way down to second. Wow. I've got all the way down to month. So you could have a monthly, you could have a weekly thing. The ones I normally am doing is week, and then picking which days of the week I want it to run on. Yeah. So your flows can happen. So there are 3 ways flows happen. One is manual, i.e. someone presses a button, and that button could be an app, that button could be all sorts of things. It happens scheduled, or it happens reacting to something else happening. Yes. It can, so yes, it can. Okay. And the reason you're getting a slight pause in there is yes, it can, but there is part of it, should it? Okay. So if you're moving stuff in the back end round, and it could be done in a pipeline, if that's the kind of thing, copy data thing, those kind of things, I would get Power Automate to potentially trigger the pipeline, but then the pipeline could be scheduled. So Power Automate possibly doesn't offer everything there, but you could have it that actually Power Automate is triggering it, or Power Automate gives you the way of somebody triggering it who doesn't have access to the pipeline. That's another part that you can do in there, is that actually you can give some buttons, so some checks and some authorizations and some things can happen before Fabric activity happens. Somebody has requested that this is refreshed. Do you approve? Automate has approvals in it, so you can have all those kind of things happen. Okay, so yes, it can. Potentially, though, I possibly would get Power Automate to trigger other things that could do it. Yeah, so it's not here to replace the functionality of a pipeline. It's here to give you alternative ways of triggering that pipeline, maybe. Okay, it also, there's a whole bunch of, one of my other sets of flows, blog posts or YouTubes, I'm trying to remember which I did. I think I did blog posts, is to create a way of creating workspaces. Okay, because I had a client who turned around and went, we are fed up of getting the email that says, can I have a workspace called blah, 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 blah. And then one email goes to him and one email goes over there and one email goes over there, and we've got no process. And I went, have you heard of a help desk? Apparently that wasn't an option. So what they wanted was a process. And so what they did was they came up with a form that somebody could fill in. They put in the name of the workspace. They put the justification in, blah, 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 blah. They press the button and that triggers off a flow. And what that does behind the scenes, goes and does approvals and does all those things. Didn't blog that part, but I did blog the being able to go and create a workspace of it. Okay, so there's those parts that can be done, and that's using the REST APIs that are available for Fabric and Power BI. So some of those bits can be done. Okay, you've got to work out, is Power Automate always the right tool? And some of the time it is, and some of the time, very much, I totally agree with you, it's not the right tool. Okay, but it does give you some options for your people who have got data that they're trying to do stuff with. That being able to put a message into Teams, okay, that I have had so many people come back to me and go, that was the answer I was looking for, because it solves a problem. No. Keep working on it. I'll no, you're totally fine.
I think
Yeah. Yes.
but
Yes.
go with your subscription at least.
Okay. Licensing. We all hate this question. Okay, licensing for Power Automate. As long as you are not connecting with a premium connector, I can do it on a free license. So my second example, getting data out of Power BI, is free. So I'm connecting to Power BI and I'm connecting to Teams, totally free. My first example, HTTP, premium connector, I need a license. Oh yeah, logic caps and yeah. Yeah, the Logic Apps has some things in it that Power Automate doesn't have. I think Power Automate has, yes. There are some 90%. I think is about where we're at. They are almost identical. There are just the odd things that work slightly differently in Power Apps. Oh, sorry, in Power Automate, and there are some other things that work slightly differently in Logic Apps. But yes, if you understand Logic Apps, you'll be fine in Power Automate. You've shown your age, darling. But yes. So but the important part the important part of what you've just said. So his example was taking a file that's emailed, he's going to put it into Blob, and he's then going to use Azure Data Factory to move that into the right place. The really important part there is he's going to use Azure Data Factory to do the Azure Data Factory bit. He's not going to do, well, we'll open the file and we'll loop through every line and we'll do no. Okay, it is Power Automate. It is not Power Integrate. I'm thinking of getting a T-shirt that says that. Because it is. It's Power Automate. It's something to automate a few things. It is not your data integration tool. There are some fantastic data integration tools out there. Please use them. From OneDrive. So from OneDrive, yes, that's not a problem. Into ADLS, I don't know. Can you do it via REST API? Can you put a file there? Then yes, you can. Whether it's friendly or not, there's another matter. So someone's OneDrive is not a problem. Yeah. No. Yes, you would be able to. Yes. It might have to be a HTTP call like we've just done. Because what I don't think there is one. He's Googling it. Great. Should we do the other way of Googling it? Google faster than Johnny. New connector, is it? So if I put an ADLS in there, is that what I'm looking for? I can't spell. You all right?
Oh.
He was trying to escape, so I can't trip him up on the way out. ADLA, AD. I'm not finding it there. What's the connector we were using? What's it called? Yeah, but it's a premium connector. So OneDrive and SharePoint. OneDrive is a standard connector. How are we doing on pizzas? So, ladies and gents, one last minute, okay? Thank you very much. I'm going to stop before I break something, and somebody asks me more complicated questions. I'm Laura GP. The blog's Hatful of Data. Thank you very much.